So the next part is to generate graphs, visualizations for each of these entities. Okay, so we'll create a separate sheet for each of these entities here, so that way we can manipulate the data and graphs as needed without disturbing the rest of the data here. Okay, so let's copy the table for the region. Let's create a new sheet here and get the values here. So if you just directly copy paste, it throws up these errors here. So all it's trying to do is it's trying to copy it with the formulas as well. Remember, for each of these cell we used a formula to get the corresponding value. So here we don't need the formulas, we just need the values and formatting probably. So we could just click on this little down arrow here and it will give you different options of how the values should be pasted. So we will just use values and source formatting. So that will just give us the values and any color formatting that we might have used. So whenever you see pound signs like that, it just means that for numbers, it doesn't have enough room to display all the numbers. So if you double click here, it will just resize the column accordingly. Okay, let's zoom in a little bit. Okay, so now in order to visualize this, let's go back to our report. We created these two pie charts, sale amount by region and units sold by region. So let's try to recreate this. Okay. Let's select the region values. Okay. Let's select this first. Use your control or command key. Let's select the sale amount value. And we could go to insert option here under recommended charts. If the recommended chart doesn't show up to you, that's okay. We could specifically choose a pie chart here from the right side. Okay. So if it gives that option, well and good. Just select this and there we have our pie chart. All right. So we can change the color themes for this pie chart here. So by default, it has this color combination. But if we see, if when your chart is selected, you can see this option called change colors. So if you click on that, it will give you different color schemes. If you select the second one, it uses a different color palette. Third one uses a different color palette, so on and so forth. It doesn't matter what color palette you choose. It's up to your preference. So I'd like to make it a little lighter. So once you choose a particular theme here, if you click on this little arrow, it will give you further representations of the same pie chart. So let's probably select this one here. Okay, a little lighter. If we want to add, say more elements onto this, like say you want to show the amount or the percentage of the central region, like how much percentage of the total sales amount were from central region, we could add chart elements. In Windows, I think once you select this chart, you should get a little plus symbol thing here. If you click on that, you'll get option to add chart elements. But in Mac, you might have it under Home tab here in the top left corner. So select that and we can select data labels. Let's see what this does. Center. Okay, so it's giving us the values here. What if I want percentages? Let's go to more data label options here, and here you can choose percentage. Okay, so I don't want value, I want percentages. So there we have percentages. All right, and using the label position, we can further select where do we want the labels to be, like outside, and or if we just say best fit, Excel automatically will choose what is the best location, or if you would rather want them to be at the center, you can choose them to be at the center. I think we'll just choose best fit here. Doesn't matter, whatever, but just wanted to show the different options here. All right, so let's close this. Let's give a more descriptive title to our chart. We'll just say sales amount by region. Okay, so that should do for our first chart. So for the second chart here, if we go back to our report, we have this donut chart. I usually prefer donut charts more than pie charts here because they convey the same information by occupying less area, like less color, less fill here, but same representation, nothing different. So I prefer to use donut charts wherever possible, but there might be instances where having a full pie chart might be more appropriate. But let's just see. So in order to get the donut chart, let's use different data points here. Let's again select the different regions, and using control or command key, let's select the units sold. Let's go to insert option here. We'll start by inserting a pie chart here. And once we have the pie chart, I think we can change the chart type. Go to change chart type here, and then under pie, it should show you different options. Okay, so the last one is donut option here. If we select that, we have our donut chart. Again, similarly, if we want to change the color scheme, we can just go to change colors, choose a different theme here. Once you choose a different color palette, again under chart design, it will give you different gradients for your pie chart. You just select this one, that should be it. Under the same chart design, if you choose a different type, say for example, if I choose this one, it automatically gives you the percentages inside, but I don't like how that looks. I'm gonna go back to, all right, this option here. Okay, I just don't like too much color, but okay, so let's give a more descriptive name for our chart here. So we'll say units sold by region. All right, restaurant should be fine here. Okay, so that's it for the region. Let's name this sheet as region so that whenever we come back to it, we know exactly what analysis we did in a particular sheet. So right click on this and say region. Okay, let's move on to manager here. So if we go to our report or item, it doesn't matter. So we can just do item 2. Let's rename this sheet as item. Let's get the table corresponding to item here. So select this one. Let's paste here. Again, let's choose the option of paste values and source formatting. So there we have it. Double click on this for the numbers to fit in. Let's zoom in a little bit. All right, so there we have it. All right, so for items, let's start with the bar chart first here. So let's select the items that we have and the total sale amount. We'll go to the insert option here under recommended charts. Let's choose the bar chart here, right? If we want, we can change the color palette. Let's choose this monochromatic option here, and if we want it to have some gradient, we can choose that too. We have the gradient, and let's get rid of these grid lines here. So I just select those grid lines, hit delete, those would be gone. Let's give a more descriptive name to our chart here. Sales amount by item. And let's also show labels on each of these bar chart, right? Like only if we hover on this, it's showing what is the total value of this sale point, but probably we might want to see it directly on the graph itself. So if we go to add chart element, if we take data labels here, let's say outside end, and there we have. So now we can clearly see what was the total sale amount for each item. Okay. If we go to chart design, there are go to change chart type here. Under column type, we have different options. You could have 3D bar chart, 2D bar chart, or horizontal bar chart as well. Alright, it should be good for this one. For the next graph, we had a horizontal bar chart. In order to do that, let's select our items. Let's select the total number of units sold. Go to the insert option, recommended charts. Alright, it might, let's try to arrange this in descending order of the number of units sold. As we see, like there is no particular pattern to this. So we'll try to change this, change the order, but if we try to change this, it will affect this graph too. So what we'll do is we'll copy this graph here, right click and say copy. And we'll have, let's open a new Word document. We'll use this Word document for a report as well. Now we have that chart copied from our Excel file. So we'll go to paste option and choose paste special. Just paste it as a picture here. Click OK. And then there we have. Let's resize this little, place it in the middle. Okay. Now we have it there. Now we can go back and try to rearrange for the second graph here, right? So we plotted this graph using the number of units sold. So let's go to this column, select all the cells, right click, and then we'll say sort largest to smallest. Alright, let's do the other way then. Sort smallest to largest. Okay, there we have. Right. Even for this, let's go ahead and add the data labels. So select the chart design option, and then we can see add chart element here. Data labels will add it outside end. So there we have. So this shows the number of units of each item that were sold. Let's give a more descriptive name for our chart title. Alright. Again, even for this, we would have more formatting options, and we could go ahead and change the colors or change the chart type if we want a 3D chart type, but we will leave this as it is for now. So let's copy this to our Word document. You could again right click and choose paste special, choose the picture option and say OK. So there we have it. Alright, let's move on to the next part here. So in the next segment, if we check our report, next we have visualizations for our manager. So let's create a new sheet for manager here. And we'll go back to our analysis sheet and get the table corresponding to managers. Again, after pasting it, just go to this option here and choose values and source formatting and double click on this column. Let's zoom in a little. All right. Now for managers, we had created pie charts again. So for the sale amount by manager, it's a basic pie chart. For units sold, we had a 3D pie chart here. So let's go back and choose manager and the sale amount for the first chart. We'll go to insert option, recommended charts, and just a basic pie chart here, right? Let's go ahead and choose a different design, probably this one, where we just have outside, and if we want to specify percentages as well. Okay, let's go to add chart element, data labels, more data label options. Let's choose percentages along with the category here. So now there we have. All right. This should do for the first graph. I'll just give a more descriptive name for this chart here. Okay, this font size is fixed by this, like we cannot change this to lowercase letter because we are choosing a predefined chart design. So the title, font size and style have already been preset over there. Okay, but so this should do it for our first graph here. Let's try to probably keep this in our Word document too. So the first graphs were for the item, and then we have for manager. Let's go to paste special and choose the picture option. There we have it. We'll try to fill in this document as we go along. We'll go back to region as well later. So first let's finish the other graph corresponding to manager here. So we'll try to get a 3D pie chart here. So choose the managers, use command option, choose the number of units sold, and go to insert option, recommended charts. We'll start with the pie chart first, but then we'll go to change chart type here, choose pie option, and then choose this 3D pie. And once we chose that again, once we chose a 3D pie chart design, again we have more specific chart designs at the top. Let's select this one. It looks more clear. Okay, let's choose a different color theme for this one and choose a lighter option probably. Okay, there we have. So since we already, let's change this labeling a little bit here. First we will give a descriptive chart title. So this is units sold by manager. We see that we have the manager name mentioned at two places, right? Like we have what each color, which manager is, which color is for which manager, and then again on the pie chart itself. So we'll get rid of one, it just seems redundant here. So we'll click on this, we will go to probably, I think the easiest way, at least in Mac, is to select the chart, go to add chart element, data labels, because that's what we want to change. So data labels, more data label options, there you have. And probably we can get rid of categories here, or yep, let's get rid of categories and let's just show percentages. Okay, or yeah, percentages would be more helpful, I guess. All right, so that should do it. Let's copy this again, go back to our Word document, paste special, paste this as a picture. All right, we pasted our chart as a picture here. We'll move on to the next one. So in our report, the next graphs that we had were for salesmen here. Okay, so we had vertical bar chart and horizontal bar chart here. So we'll go back to our Excel. From the analysis sheet, let's copy this salesman table. Create a new sheet here. We right click. Nope. Rename it as salesman. And then let's copy that data. Back to our report and trend lines. Paste special. Paste it as a picture. Let's get the trend line for sale amount by number of units sold. So we'll select our order date column and then select the number of units. Now we'll go to insert here, again same thing, under recommended charts. That's our graph for units sold by order date. Again, let's remove the grid lines here. Let's remove grid lines for this one as well. I'm just showing how to how to, copy paste your graphs from Excel to Word. Like you just select this and then come here and then paste as picture, right? So yeah, so once you remove the grid lines, always try to remove the grid lines. It just makes the pictures more pleasant to look at. So remove the grid lines and finish the formatting on the chart. Once you are satisfied with how the chart looks, then copy and paste it to the Word document as I showed before. Okay, okay, let's remove the grid lines here as well. Let's move this chart a little inside. Okay, let's give a more descriptive name here. So these are units sold by date. All right, so we have this. Next part is, I think, after we get all these graphs, next we get the graphs for quarterly, right? For quarterly sales across regions and items by manager and such. So in order to do that, we first have to create a new column called quarter, which identifies in which quarter a particular item falls. Okay, so let's rename this sheet as region sales um, by quarter here. We'll get the same original data here. We'll copy the raw data. Let's get the total sales amount. Okay, we'll just paste values here, and we don't need this. Okay. All right. Let's zoom in a little bit and okay. So in order to create the sales of region by quarter, let's first create a quarter column here, right? So we need to identify in which quarter a particular order date falls. So we'll create a new column here called quarter. We'll use a little formula here in order to obtain the quarter information for a given order, right? So if we see the format of this date is the first number here represents the month, the second number is the date, and the third number is the year, right? So we'll create a string here. So we want to have Q in our quarter name, so it just stays as it is. Whatever you put inside quotes like this, it stays like that, right? So we have Q, and I'll type out this function and then I'll explain as I go. Okay, so we want to obtain the month from our cell A2. Okay, obtain the month A2, and then we are dividing this by 3. Let me type out the formula and then we can see how it works here. Okay, so this is the part round up month A2 divided by 3 comma 0. That's the part that tells us in which quarter we are in. Are we in first quarter, second, third, or fourth quarter? So once we get that, let's try to append a hyphen to that. And then we would also want what year that quarter is in. Okay, so again choose cell A2 here. Okay, now we see we got Q1 2018. Okay, I hope you understand why we did the formula like this. All right, let's see how we obtain this value here. Okay, so as we can see here, whatever we typed inside the quotes, it's retained as is, and this formula here between these two ampersands, that gives us the quarter, whether 1, 2, 3, or 4. Okay, and then this hyphen, we have it as it is, and then year obtained from here is 2018. All right, so let's see how this formula worked here. Let's take an example for the first date here. So we have 1/6/18. Okay, So month is 1 here, right? And year is 18 or 2018. We don't need to worry about day here, okay? So if you break down that formula, so when we say month of A2, all right, so let's just type it here, month of A2. For our example, the example value we have is in K5, right? So we'll say K5. All right, so if we do month of K5 here, let's actually execute that formula and see. So month of K5, we get 1 here, right? Month of K5 is 1. So that's what we'll obtain here. So when we say month of A2, we'll obtain 1, right? Because from A2 cell, the month is first month January. So month of A2, 1. So 1 divided by 3, okay? So if we do 1 divided by 3, 1 divided by 3, the result, okay, it's just taking it as date format here. Let's go back and change it to general. All right, so we have 0.33 here, right? So 1 divided by 3 is this. Let's go to the next bit in our formula. So once we have that 0.33, now we are using a function called round up on 0.33. So what round up will do is it will round our decimal point to the nearest integer, okay, on the upper side. So let's see. So round up this value, and we want it to round up to the next nearest integer, and we don't want any decimal points, right? So I'll say 0 here. Round up that value and 0. If you see, we got 1, right? So that's why we obtain quarter 1 here. Okay, so the result of all of this function is just 1. So we are getting the number of the month, we are dividing that by 3, and we are rounding it up to the nearest integer. Okay, so once we get 1, then we are just appending this hyphen, and we are getting year from A2 cell. So if we do year of, what is the cell here, M6, right? So M6, if we execute that, we get, no, let's see what went wrong here. It's not 1905. No, actually not this one, because this is just a number. It's just counting in terms of milliseconds. So we should actually give the date field. This is not a date field, right? This is a date field here. So we'll just go back and choose the date field from which we are trying to extract the year. So now we have 2018. Okay, so that's how we obtained Q1 2018. Let's take another example here. Let's all right, first thing, let's just apply this to all the remaining cells. Now we have the quarter. Let's do for quarter 2 2018. Okay, so the date is 4/1/18, right? So if we do month of, what is this cell here, K12, so K12, right? Let's try to obtain that month from this date field. What should that value be? It will be 4 here, right? Because it is 4th month. So we have 4. Okay. Now what are we supposed to do? After we get the month here, we will divide it by 3. So month divided by 3. So 4 divided by 3 is 1.33. Now we have to round this up to the next nearest integer. So we'll use the function round up and 0 decimals. We don't want any decimals, and we got 2. So that's how we get that this date is in second quarter. And if we use year on this function, you would get the year as 2018. Okay, so that's why April is in second quarter. We'll just do one more, or probably 2 more from 2019. Let's do this one, 8/7/19. 8/7/19. Okay, so the result is Q3 2019. Okay, so again, if we do month on this date, what should the result be here? It should be 8, right? Because it's the 8th month. So that's how we got 8 here. Now what are we supposed to do? As per the formula here, we are supposed to divide that by 3. So let's divide 8 by 3. we got 2.667. Now we have to round this up to the nearest integer. So we'll use the function round up. We don't want round up. We don't want any decimals after that. All right, so there we go, 3. So that's how we got for 817 Q3, third quarter, right? And if we use year function on that, the year would be 2019. Okay, 2019. So that's how we obtained Q3 2019. All right, I hope this is clear. Okay. Now let's try to find out how many sales we had for each region, like sales for region by quarter. Okay, let's just merge these cells here. Okay. So we had 3 regions here, East, Central and West. It's because those are only 3 values, it's easy to type them out. Next, to obtain the different quarters here, again we'll have to use a function called unique, right? So unique, give the cell range from the quarter column, hit enter, and there you have all your different quarters. Now we are trying to find out how many sales did we have, in each region for each of those quarters. Okay, so here it's a little different here because we are trying to find out the sum based on 2 conditions here, right? First condition is the region should match. It should be only Eastern region, and the quarter should match. It should be only Q1 2018. Okay, so these 2 conditions should match. Only then we have to sum the sale amount where these 2 conditions are matched here. Okay, so that means for Q1 2018 for Eastern region, so this is the value. Let's highlight that. Next, what should be added to this one? That's it, right? That's it. There is no Q1 2018, one more Eastern region. So for us, this value should be only equal to this one here. Okay, now if we take Q2 2018, so Q2 2018, we have one Eastern region here. Let's highlight that with green. And Q2 2018, we have one more Eastern region here. Okay, so under Q2 2018, what should be the value now? It should be the value corresponding to the summation of this one and this one here. Okay, so we should get 60,000 here. All right, so let's just see. Again, in order to have 2 conditions match before summing up, we will use sum ifs function here. Okay, so let's use sum ifs. All right, so what are we trying to sum here? We are trying to sum the sale amount. So let's give the range of cells for the sale amount. So once we have that, what is our first condition? Okay, the first condition is, we can take, it doesn't matter, either East or quarter. Let's just start with quarter here because I think that's how I have it on my guide. So first is we want to match the quarter. So let's give the range of cells for the quarter, and with which value should it match first? It should match with Q1 2018 here. Okay, and after that, the second value that should be matched is for the regions. So let's select the region column, and then where do we have the regions defined? We have it over here. Okay, so once we select that, let's close the bracket, let's hit enter, and there you go. And we can see that this value is matching with what we expected it to be. Okay, and let's just, okay, it's just easier this way to understand that we are dealing with dollar amount. All right, so I hope this is clear how we obtained here. So we used sum ifs function to match 2 conditions. So the first condition was the quarter should be matched with what we have here, and the region should be matched with what we have here. Okay, now let's try to drag this across and apply to the other quarters as well and see what went wrong here. Okay, so let's just check the formula. So the first one, function 2, so it's taking the correct columns, the quarter, region and the sale amount, and then it's taking K5, which is for Q1 2018, and it's taking L4, which is for eastern region here. Okay, so that worked as expected. Let's see what happened with the second one. So function f2 here, if you see here, it's there are a couple of things wrong with this one, right? So first one, the quarters, they just shifted to 3 here. Everything just shifted one step down with respect to columns because it's using relative reference. And with respect to quarter, it's working fine, like case 6, that's what we want. But if we observe with respect to the region, it just shifted down instead of going to the right, because no, sorry, it should stick with east here, right? Because this entire column is for eastern region, it shouldn't shift down. So we need to make use of absolute references here in order to fix the row position for these columns, and in order to fix the headers for each of these columns here. Okay, so we let's fix the first one here, so that way rest all would work fine. So let's fix the column starting row position and the ending row position. Same way, starting row position here and ending row position here. For K5, it's we can just leave it to be relative reference because we do want it to change with every row going down. Okay, for C, let's change this, and here let's change this. For L, we want to keep the to eastern region. Okay, let's just fix the row number here. Okay, all right, let's see if this works. All right, so we see the values are as expected, right? 60,027. If we want, we can fix this entire cell too. So we can just fix that value and use just $sign so that that cell is fixed. But it's not necessary. We are not just oh yeah, I think it will be a good idea to fix that because we are going to drag this across horizontally. Let's just see how it works. Okay, so there we have it. Now, so if we compare here, our 60,000 is exactly 60,000 here. Okay, now we can just drag this across and apply this to the next two columns too. But then again, something went wrong here, right? So let's see what happened. So for the first one, function fn2, it's using the same columns and the correct quarter and the correct region value. But if we go to the central region here, function fn2, what happened here? So since we moved horizontally across, it swapped these columns horizontally across, right? So the eastern region, it shifted to the quarter column reference, it shifted to region, and the region column reference, it shifted to manager, whereas sales amount also shifted to the right side. So we need to make even the column positions constant so that they don't change if we are dragging the formula horizontally across. Okay, so for that reason, we will make this original formula, we'll go to this original formula here, and we will make even the column references as absolute. Okay, now let's see if it works as expected. All right, let's drag this across. There's one more error here. Let's see, what do we have? Okay, what did we miss here? All right, do you see what's going on here? So the columns are all fine. Okay, the columns, so we have sale amount. Why is it taking J sum ifs I2 to J44? I think I just have a typo there. We'll fix that. It should be I2 to I44. Okay. All right. Okay, let's just go back to this one again. Let's see. So we see what happened. So we have to fix that. I2 to, it's not I2 to J44. It should be I2 to I44. Okay. So B2 to C44 again. All right. Because I did not make the second column as absolute. You see what happened? So I was absolute. We fixed I here. But then the ending point, the ending cell value, we didn't make that as absolute. So it shifted to J. We'll fix that. The other thing that went wrong here is now instead of taking this K5 as the quarter value, it took L5 because we did not fix it, it moved to the next point. So we just have to make everything absolute here. So let's go back to our formula and make this one I, and we should make K. You always want it to take the quarter column. Okay, let's double check these values. They work as expected. Let's drag this across. Oh, no. All right, so we still have a problem here. Let's see what happened. It's taking the correct values here. I2 to I44, or B2 to C44. Okay, so B2 to this should be B44. All right. Something wrong again. Let's see. Let's troubleshoot this together. So I2 to I44, B2. Huh. Why did this not change? Because I did not make this as absolute. All right. Okay, now it should be all good. Okay, there we go. All right. Let's apply this across. Let's put this down. All right. So now we have our sales for each quarter across each region here. Okay. Let's try to chart this out. So we'll select, let's select this entire graph, entire table, entire area. We'll go to insert, we'll go to recommended charts and see that it has already recommended us a clustered bar chart here. Okay, so choose that option. There we have. Right, so we can see across each quarter how how we are performing in different regions here. Everything looks good. We'll just change the chart title to be a little more descriptive. So we have sales for regions by quarter. Okay. Again, let's just remove the grid lines here. You can leave the color scheme as is, or you can explore different color options that we have. All right. Okay. I hope this exercise helps you to understand how important it is to really pay attention to the absolute references and relative references. So it's always a good idea to cross-check adjacent cells when we are using the same formula, when we are like dragging it vertically or horizontally, to ensure that the formula is working correctly as expected. If not, pay close attention to which column, which rows need to be fixed and all that, and accordingly you can place your dollar signs there. All right, so we'll go to the next part here. Next we have, we go to our report. We have sales for items by quarter. All right, let's create another sheet here. So we'll call this as region sales by quarter. Okay, we already have that name for the previous sheet, so we'll say region sales by, or item sales by quarter. Well, the first one should have been regional sales by quarter. Okay, we have item sales by quarter. So let's get our original data again. And or rather we can just get our data from this sheet here, right? Because we have already calculated our quarter here, and we also have the sales amount. So we'll get this data here. Okay, let's copy that again. All right, we can just keep paste values here. Okay, so now in order to get the sales of items across each quarter, we'll again have to start with a new table here. Let's list out the quarters. We can just use a unique function again. Okay, there we have our quarters, and we can get our item names here. So what we can do is we can either manually type, or a better way of doing is use the unique function to get the list of items first, and then copy this list to a new place, and then only paste the values here. Okay, so now copy this values and let's paste them here horizontally. In order to paste them here horizontally, we'll choose a cell, we'll right click, and then we'll say paste special and transpose. Okay, so there you have your values are pasted across horizontally. Let's go ahead and delete this. Let's give some color scheme to this. Okay, now to get the total sales of each item for each quarter, again we will use sumifs function here, because we have to match two things, right? We have to match the quarter as well as the item here. Okay, so we have to get the total sales of all the televisions only for the first quarter of 2018, and the second cell, sum of the total sales of television only for the second quarter of 2018. Right, so let's go ahead and give the accounting formatting for all our amounts here. So we'll just remove this cells. This should have, yeah, that's fine. I'll just copy paste this here. All right, so we'll again use sumifs function here. So sumifs, we are trying to sum the sale amount, okay, where the quarter is matching the quarter that we have here, comma. Also, the item is matching the item that we have here. All right. So those are the values we want to sum up wherever we have a match of quarter 1 2018 and television. So again, as we have seen in the previous example, we need to make this references absolute. Okay, we have to fix both the column position and the row position as well. And for this one, only the column position is enough because we want the quarter to change with each subsequent row. All right. So there we have it. Now if we just drag it across, we get our values, and if we drag it down like this, we'll get the sales amount for television for each quarter. And then we have for home theater, cell phone, desk, and video games. All right. Okay, now let's insert a stacked bar chart for this. So select the entire area, go to Insert, under Recommended Charts. Do we have a stacked bar chart? Yes, this third one. Select that one, and there we have the stacked bar chart. Okay, so the sales title, sales for items by quarter. As we can see, we don't have the names for each of the items. That's because we probably didn't select this headings over here. Let's redo this again. All right, so let's select the entire table. We'll go to Insert, Recommended Charts, and now we select the chart title. Okay, now we can see the quarter names and also the names for the items. So we'll say sales for items by quarter. Okay, sales for items by quarter. All right, that's it for this graph, I guess. And if we go back to our report here, the next part was quarterly sales by manager. And then finally we have sales for quarters for each salesman. So let's do this one, quarterly sales by manager. No, so we'll just create a new sheet here. So we'll say let's give a name to this sheet here. Yep, my Mac has some issues, but then let's see. Item sales, sales. All right, I'm just trying to rename my sheet here, but it doesn't seem to be cooperating. Let me just double click and see. Okay. So this is sales by manager by quarter. All right, sales by manager by quarter here. So we will use the same data that we have used here. So shift and this, copy, let's paste values and number formatting so that we can get those dollar signs too. All right. We'll go ahead and create the same quarterly column for each of the managers. So we have quarter. Let's get the quarter values from the previous slide here. We'll just paste the values because we obtained those quarter values using a formula over there. So we'll just paste values here. And next we need managers, right? So if we go to manager tab here, we have the names of the managers. Let's just copy them from here. We'll go to sales by manager. Let's paste the manager values, just the values. Okay, now we'll copy these values here, go to this point, and we'll choose the transpose option under paste special, transpose, and there we have it. Okay, so let's go ahead and delete this. Again, we'll again use sum ifs here because we want to calculate the total sum of sales for Martha for each quarter here, right? So we want two conditions to be matched here. One is the quarter and the manager name. So we'll use sum ifs. So we are trying to sum the sale amount where the quarter value matches this quarter here and the manager value matches this manager here. Okay, and again, as we learned previously, we need to make all the references absolute so that every time we are using the same columns starting from the same row numbers. Okay, and for quarter column, we'll just fix the column because we want the row to change for every quarter, and for manager, we'll fix the row but leave the column to change for each manager here. Okay, for Herman, when we go to Herman, we want this value to be M3. All right, now let's execute this. That works fine. Let's just apply it to all quarters, to all managers. Okay, and then for each manager we will drag it across like this. All right, let's change the number formatting here. Okay, there we have it. We can just change the style of the cells if we want. So I think we had a clustered horizontal bar chart for this one. So let's select the entire table, go to insert option. Under recommended charts, choose this option here. So we can see we have a chart that is comparing all the managers for each of those regions here. Okay, let's change the chart title. Quarterly sales by manager. All right, so that should be it. Now going to our last sheet here, I think we have similar stuff, quarterly sales by each salesman. Okay, so let's create a new sheet here and we'll rename this. We will say sales by salesman by quarter. All right, let's use the same data. We'll keep values and source formatting. Okay, so we have it there. Let's again go ahead and create the quarter by salesman table here. Let's copy this quarterly information. All right, let's go to our salesman here to get the list of salesmen. So let's copy this list here. Let's go to sales by salesman for each quarter and let's just paste the values here. Now let's copy these values, go to this cell, right click, paste special, transpose. That should paste all our salesmen horizontally across the row. Okay, all right, just give some basic formatting to this. Now again, using the same sumifs function, because we are trying to sum the total sales for each salesman for a given quarter. Okay, so again, two conditions have to be matched here. One is the particular quarter and for the particular salesman. So let's use sumifs. What are we trying to sum here? Sale amount, where the quarter is equal to the quarter mentioned here and where the salesman is matching the value provided here. All right, let's go ahead and make all these references absolute. Hmm. We only want to fix the column here. Again, we want to change the quarter. We want the quarter to change with each row. So that's good. And whereas with respect to salesman, we want the row to be constant, but we want the salesman to be changed with each column. All right. Let's see. Hmm. Probably looks like I didn't select the salesman range here. So let's do that. All right. Enter. Okay, there we have it. I'll just go ahead and give proper formatting to all these cells. Okay, there we have. Let's drag this across for each salesman. All right. So now we have sales for each salesman across all regions here. I think this is where we'll have our final chart here. So let's select this entire table and go to insert. So let's see what recommended charts are. We can select the first one. So again, because we have a lot of salesmen, we cannot, it's not showing us to cluster by salesmen, right? Like we don't have all the 9 salesmen for each quarter. That might be difficult to represent. That's why the suggestions are, it broke it by each salesman here, each salesman how he performed in different quarter. This might still be useful when we want to compare how each salesman performed, whether their performance improved over time or not. So I guess this option might still be helpful here, right? So as we can see, seems like everybody is performing well in the first 2 quarters, right? Like all the salesmen have considerable sales in the first 2 quarters of each year, I believe. But something is going not going okay in the third and fourth quarters, where we see that the sale amount is not as much. So I guess this chart might still be a little more useful to understand what is happening with each salesman's performance across different quarters. Right, so we'll give a representative name for this chart here. So this is sales for each salesman across quarters. All right, so I think this should do it. That's all the visualization and analysis we had for our report. So I'm going to go ahead and provide this file as well, so that it will be easier for you to reference. Hope this is helpful, and let me know if there are any questions. Thank you.